Biden's Office of Gun Control gets shut down. Trump plays hardball with Colombian president. Leftist threatens the life of President Trump and gets arrested. And our special guest, Anthony Constantino. This is The Loaded Mic, and I'm Dan Wass. Gun laws in America violate the Second Amendment. So in order to pass these unconstitutional laws, effort must be put into encouraging public support for legislation. Now, fear is the most used tactic. The Ghost Gun Fear campaign is used to advocate for the serialization of firearms. The term ghost gun evokes alarming imagery. Public sentiment is swayed with this term and encourages people to envision the constructing of homemade firearms as engaging in a nefarious activity. Historically, building firearms has been part of American tradition, yet recent media coverage has depicted it as a criminal act. Proponents of gun control argue that serialization aids in crime investigation and tracking criminals. The gun control crowd tries to stigmatize gun owners as obstructionists to solving crimes, when the actual intent is to preserve the Second Amendment. Now, when did it become the gun owner's responsibility to assist in crime solving by relinquishing our rights? The Gun Control Act of 1968 is unconstitutional at its core. It mandated that all manufacturers place serial numbers on their firearms. 18 U.S.C. 922K prohibits the possession or transportation of firearms with obliterated serial numbers, making it unlawful to transport, ship, or receive firearms whose serial numbers have been altered or removed. Now, the ATF has made efforts to include homemade firearms, 3D printed guns, 80% lowers, and parts kits under these requirements. The ATF has been deviously changing firearm policy without going through Congress. Now, these policies, as unconstitutional as they are, have been responsible for the arrest and incarceration of several innocent gun owners. Presently, only firearm dealers, FFLs, are required to serialize firearms at the national level. Private citizens are not, although state-specific laws may vary. There's nothing wrong with making firearms, but the idea that firearms must be serialized for tracking purposes has been normalized in our society. Now, the term ghost gun is utilized to generate fear and garner support for national serialization and registration, which has been proven to lead to confiscation in other countries that have done it. Our founding fathers didn't write the Second Amendment to say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed as long as a list of all your guns and the addresses where they can be found are registered with the federal government. We already reminded King George we won't tolerate this behavior. It seems gun-grabbing Democrats might need to be reminded again. Apparently, they didn't get the message or need a history lesson. For more Second Amendment content, please check out my Good Gun, Bad Guy book series at goodgunbadguy.com. We're going to talk about this and many other things with, he's so knowledgeable, Alexa asks him questions, John Chiara.
Thank you, Dan.
And he's really not as mean as he looks, but he will make a liberal cry just to drink their tears. Anthony Diso. All right, so I wanted to talk to you guys before we bring on our guest about this very important topic, the Ghost Gun Fear campaign, to encourage people to support the unconstitutional act of serialization and registration of firearms. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's the typical fear tactic, right? Make everybody afraid of something that we can't even for sure think even exists under most circumstances, and then we'll just pass a blanket law and punish everybody in the process. Yeah, that's pretty typical.
So how are they going to serialize their gun? Are they going to Sharpie it?
Yeah.
Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
You know what's interesting? Like back when I was a kid, you know, people would make, it was just normal. I mean, my father made muzzle loader kit. He had muzzle loader kits. He'd build muzzle loaders and stuff. And it was just normal. I'd watch him go down the basement. He'd be building his gun and be, you know, sanding and staining and putting the things together. And it's just normal. That's just normal human behavior in America. That's what we did, right? But the Ghost Gun Fear campaign comes in, and it's a tool to kind of scare people into supporting serialization.
It's all John's fault.
I blame John.
Yep.
And Obama.
Obama.
Actually, who was president in 1968? That's when the Gun Control Act went into place.
Johnson.
You would know.
Johnson, right?
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
Lyndon Johnson.
Yep.
Well, that's the deal, and so we're hopefully going to be able to get rid of that at the Gun Control Act. We don't want that at the national level, but states like New York, of course, put that stuff in place at the state level, and
Rat face Hochul.
yep.
She was at the Bills watch game at McGeary's yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was she really?
Such a great applause for a dirtbag.
I
Well,
would've
wait a
went
minute.
if I'd known that.
Where was that game? The game was at the Chiefs.
Yeah, but she was in Albany at McGeary's watching the game with,
Okay.
with her liberal turds.
Oh,
Have you
God.
been to McGeary's for a Bills game?
Not.
Oh,
no.
dude, it's insanity.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
And just people don't know
They
that's
act
in
like they
Albany,
own
right?
the team. And she's walking around with a rat face. Like,
Wow.
and people are like, and everybody's tearing her up on the McGeary site. They're like, we don't want nothing to do with her. I'm like, how can you people applaud that just Botox rat-faced dog?
I hope nobody slipped her a roofie.
Ugh, I wouldn't roofie that thing.
Yeah, I don't know, Anthony.
Let me get to one of our sponsors real quick. You want to know who's fighting for your gun rights? Gun Owners of America. GOA is the No Compromise Gun Rights Group. I urge you to become a member at gunowners.org. So what have they done? Well, GOA secured a preliminary injunction against the ATF pistol brace rule. GOA members submitted a record 85,000 plus comments opposing the ATF's universal registration check rule. They helped enact permitless carry in Nebraska and Florida. GOA secured victories in California, Illinois, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Plus, they won 2 legal victories against the ATF's zero-tolerance policy. And GOA fought to overturn Joe Biden's ban on funding hunter education, shooting sports, and archery in schools. So with the constant attacks on our Second Amendment, we often ask ourselves, well, what can I do about it? Well, this is what you can do about it. You can become a member at gunowners.org and help us save the Second Amendment. All right. So, ghost guns, whatever. I mean, I just think it's the most stupid, ridiculous thing.
I wonder where they hide all those muzzle loaders and stuff. Garbage cans, tree trunks. What do they do?
I don't know. I think it's hysterical, though, when you think about it, because Sally Soccer Mom, when she hears the term ghost gun, she's like, oh, my God, we got to do whatever we can to ban these things.
And lock the doors and close the attic.
She's afraid her 3-year-old's going to go grab one and bring it home and shoot her.
And you know what else they do? They use 2 tactics. First of all, they blame 3D printing. Like everybody's printing these things on their kitchen table, and there's these ghost guns everywhere, and people are killing people with. And then if that doesn't scare you enough, they'll use the tactic. Well, it's easier for police to track criminals if they have serial numbers and all guns are registered. So I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. So I have to give up my Second Amendment right to help investigators and police departments? I don't think so. They did it without serial numbers for forever. It's not my responsibility to help with investigations. Keep the damn criminals in jail. Unlike Hochul, who's letting them out. Bail reform, early release, and all that stuff. So go ahead.
Well, do criminals buy legal firearms and then go on commit? How many criminals are using legal firearms?
They completely avoid the background check system, number one. And they go and they'll get guns however they need to get them, steal them. That's why you see a lot of firearm, gun shops being robbed,
Oh, right.
So, and then there's a straw purchase, very, very small amount of straw purchase where people with a good record will go in and buy them and sell them on the street. But you know what? That just goes to show you that the background check system doesn't work. And just as a last note, we got a very special guest today. I'm bringing in Anthony Constantino. But just as a side note, I forgot what I was going to say about the ghost. Where was I, John? Bring me back to where I forgot what I was going to say. I sidetracked myself.
The background checks.
The background checks
don't work.
Yeah, they don't work. Oh, so here's what I would. Thanks. 99.9% of background check denials are false positives. In other words, good people being denied their right to purchase a gun at the counter at the gun shop for no good reason. There could be a mistake on their application. It could be they have a similar name or address or serial number to a convicted felon. It could be any number of things. And what we find is that the number of prosecutions is absolutely minuscule. The background check, well, for instance, 2017, 112,000 denials. All right, only 12,000 investigations. And guess how many actual prosecutions? 12. A dozen. So out of 112,000 denials, there was only 12 people prosecuted, which tells you that the vast majority are good people just being denied for no good
So
reason.
in what other discipline would you put up with those numbers?
Exactly.
Nowhere.
Exactly. Yeah, but when you get Democrats involved, they will find a way to keep any type of gun control in place. So that's what we're fighting against. Anyway, I don't want to use up too much time because we got limited time on the show today. We got a ton of stuff to talk about, and we're going to be bringing on our special guest, Anthony Constantino. Wait do you hear this guy's story. It's pretty cool. We're going to be bringing him on here right after this message, so don't go away. Quick message from our sponsors.
The Cali Key removes your AR from the definition of an assault weapon. It lets you keep your rifle with all its features, avoid registration hassles, and transport in hostile jurisdictions. The Cali Key also lets you hunt in jurisdictions like Pennsylvania and enhances long-range precision shooting. Cali Key's expert legal opinions empower informed decisions, and sales help grassroots Second Amendment organizations. Cali Key is your tool to keep and equip your AR, empower yourself, and defend your civil rights.
Our founding fathers saw them coming over 200 years away. That's why they wrote the Second Amendment. Join us in the fight to preserve your gun rights and stop unconstitutional gun control. Gun Owners of America is the country's only no-compromise gun rights organization. Not only do we inform and educate, but we bring the fight to court and win. Your God-given right to keep and bear arms is our top priority. Become a member today and help us take back America. Join us at gunowners.org. So as promised, Anthony Constantino is here with us. Now, Anthony is the owner and CEO of a company called Sticker Mule. It's a 1,200-person company in Amsterdam, New York. You've probably heard of it. Now, to stop anti-Trump hate, he proudly endorsed President Trump to his 5 million customers, triggering an internet backlash and media firestorm when he installed a giant "Vote for Trump" sign on his tallest building. Democrats tried to even jail him for displaying the sign, but he beat them in court. Anthony is now running for Congress in the hopes of filling Elise Stefanik's position as she takes a position in President Trump's cabinet. So I wanted to introduce the world to Anthony Constantino.
Happy to be here.
That's good. Well, we're happy to have you. And I want to first start because you're pretty well known for the big Trump sign. So let's just start off with the Trump sign. Do we have a picture of this massive? There it is. Massive vote for Trump sign that Anthony put on his building. Can you tell us what happened after you did that?
That picture looks so good. People ask if it's real, but it's a real picture. We got on the top of a nearby building and took it. Yeah. And as soon as he got shot in Butler, I was out and I just immediately fired off an endorsement to my 5 million customers. It went viral, became the most viral endorsement of the campaign cycle. I just got fed up with the nonsense. I was actually one of the first people canceled in 2016, but when he got shot, I said, I kind of stayed on the sidelines for the last few years. Like a lot of people, I said, we got to get people more courageous. I endorsed them. I started encouraging other people to speak up and endorse them. We had a problem with people not having the courage to endorse president or just being fearful what was going to happen because, as you know, Democrats treat you very badly. If you own a business in particular, if you have a good career and you speak up and you support the president, they try to destroy your business or destroy your career. So I said, I want to do it and start giving other people courage. And I started thinking of all the different ways I could give people courage to speak up and endorse the president. So I actually sent out millions of stickers with happy slogans. And I sent a letter with all the stickers encouraging people to speak up on behalf of the president when I did that. And then I just kept saying, what else can I do? What else can I do to give people inspiration, courage to endorse to speak up in support of the president? And eventually I said, what if I just put a massive sign on top of a building in a deep blue state in a blue city? And I just show that look,
awesome. We're
not fearful anymore. We're going to let people know we like the guy. And I said, it's an even better message than, just saying Trump, Vance, or something like that. I said, we're going to give people directions, too, as to what to do. The direction was vote for Trump, and that's what people did. He got an 11-point improvement in New York State, and he won a landslide victory for the country. And I think all this anti-Trump hate, it's now now kind of going behind us because I was actually at the inauguration for the second time. Was there for the first time and was there for the second time. The first time the conversation was, were you a supporter when he was a candidate? And some people said yes, and some people said no. And now at the second inauguration, and the question was, were you at the first inauguration? And I can tell you a lot of people were not at the first inauguration because they were members of the resistance.
You were.
I was at both, and I was at front row I was front row first time, and then this time was a little bit different. I was at a lot of the balls, and wearing a tuxedo is a little bit different situation for me, but I usually don't wear that sort of stuff. But I was happy to see a lot of the members of the resist movement were there, like Jeff Bezos and all these people. He had the Washington Post nonstop attacking Trump with fake news, and Mark Zuckerberg spent the $400 million, and Sam Altman was saying really horrible things. People don't even know him. Elon knows him. Elon was really attacking him pretty aggressively recently, but I saw all these guys. They were members of the resist movement, or the leaders really of the resist movement, because resist kind of came from all the fake news that was being spread by Washington Post, which Jeff Bezos owned. And next thing you know, Jeff Bezos is there, Sam Altman's there. Right. Actually, I saw the founder of Google was there. He was in line to take a leak while I was in line to take a leak, and he was just as frustrated. They only had, I think, I don't know, whatever. I was going to say something funny. We go to this like fancy ball, the fanciest thing I've ever gone to in my life, and I think maybe just to mess with these guys, there was only 6 or 8 porta potties, so all these billionaires, they're all in line waiting for an hour to take a leak, and
that would have been a great photo. Billionaires waiting in line at porta potties.
Yes, yeah, so Sergey Brin was waiting in line with everybody else to take a leak, and then he was waiting to go hear President Trump speak and dance with his wife, and he didn't have a smile on, but some of the other guys did. Yeah. But it was great to see everybody's unified behind the president now. The anti-Trump
these guys are business owners. They're going where the money's at. They know that it's going to work out better for them if they're supporting Trump.
Yeah, the message is out now that it doesn't make sense to be in resistance, because I tell people it's really hard. I would hate to be a Democrat because at this point in time in American history, because you're arguing against a guy that's in it for the right reasons. President Trump has one of the things I learned very quickly in the political world. A lot of politicians, they need the political jobs because they need the money, so they're easily controlled. They're very risk averse, but you want people like President Trump that have tremendous success outside of the political world because they don't need the job. They want the job because they want to do the right thing. It's very difficult to argue against a politician that's in it for the right reasons, because everything I think President Trump does, he's doing with the best interest of the country in mind. And I'm in a similar situation. It's hard to argue against me as well, because I don't need this job. I don't need the congressional job either, but I want the job because I want to do what's right for the state of New York. President Trump's fighting at the national level. I want to fight at the more local level on behalf of the people of the state of New York, and I want to do the right thing for everybody too. So that's a very difficult position to argue against.
The best people are the ones who do it, who really don't want to do it. They do it because they feel like they have to do it to make things right, and those seem to be the best people we have. Now you're going to be replacing Elise Stefanik, so there was an article, and let me see if I can find that. And I want to ask you a question about this. They were talking about you're one of the favorites according to this article, and the problem though is that you're going up against a lot of rhinos. So what's going on? Tell us the situation. How does a conservative like you go up and against New York State rhinos and beat them?
I know the article you're talking about. Everybody's talking about this article. I told somebody the other day really simply. I was talking with some chairs and with one of the other candidates at the same time the other day. I was talking with a chair and a candidate at the same time the other day, and I said, look, it's obvious why I'm going to win. I said a lot of the chairs actually like me. So the process is a little different. It's a special election. The nominee is selected by the chairs. There's 15 chairs. Well, a lot of chairs like me because a lot of chairs want to see the state go in the right direction. We all live here. Most of us want things to go in the right direction. So a lot of the chairs want things to go in the right direction. Some of the other chairs maybe are not as big of fans of me for whatever reason. Maybe they think I'm not easily controlled or whatever the case may be. But, the ones that don't like me are going to have to vote for me too, because I'm going to come back. I'm going to win in 2026 if I don't get it now. So it's a really simple situation. I said I put $2.6 million in my campaign account. A lot of chairs like me and they want to vote for me. And then there's some that support other candidates, but they realize it doesn't really matter. I'm going to come back and get it in 2026. So why waste the time? They should just vote for me now. I think they're all going to end up voting for me now. Why waste the time? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. I have the resources, both in terms, and I said, I have a lot of resources. One is called financial resources, but I also have a more important thing called human resources. I know a lot of very talented people that can help me do great things for the state. And also, I'm quickly building connections in the political world. I wasn't even in the political world a short while ago, and I'm being supported by some of the best people in the political world. They all are supporting me, which is why I think you saw that article come out. That article is going to be being talked about a lot. It's the Gateway Pundit, I believe.
Yeah,
and
exactly. That's the one. I can't find it right now, but yeah.
I can tell you, the Gateway Pundit loves me. They've been covering me ever since I endorsed the president. They seem to cover whatever I'm doing. So
Good.
a lot of interesting people are supporting me. Steve Bannon, I had a chance to speak with him recently, and Roger Stone was one of the first people to throw his support behind me, and I'm quickly building my political connections. But I have all the talent and resources, both financial, but more importantly, I know great people that can help me do great things for the state of New York, similar to President Trump. He's fighting on behalf of the country, but I want to fight on behalf of the state of New York. So the chairs that like me are going to vote for me, and the ones that want to go a different way, in the end of the day, they're going to say, why waste the time of the people voting for somebody else when we can get Anthony in there right now?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you up Saratoga County, up this way,
I'm very well liked.
Yeah, you're very well. I'm the former vice chair for Milton, which is a town in Saratoga County, as you know, and which actually was Elise's district, and then they redistricted everything, I think, and so she's no longer, or you would no longer be the Milton. But anyway, I can tell you that the Republican committees in this area, I think you're going to have a slam dunk with. So, and then we're going to get into talking more about how this affects, how local affects national and how national affects local. But let me get to one of our sponsors real quick. LifeWave is a non-transdermal patch that allows your body to produce its own natural pharmacy through light energy. The X39 patch tells your body to emit heat in the form of light, which reflects back into your body, elevating a certain copper peptide. Now, this peptide activates your stem cells, which are the only type that can move throughout your body to heal inflammation. LifeWave offers an affordable membership and has a history of wellness that spans 20 years. It's been around since 2004 to help organizations like SEAL Team 6 and the Olympic swim team stay awake and alert. Now, today, these non-addictive patches are used by thousands of athletes and military professionals. LifeWave is available in over 80 countries, giving millions the opportunity of maximum wellness. Now, for more information and testimonials, patents, and studies, go to justpatch.biz. All right, justpatch.biz. So, Anthony, on this show, we talk a lot about gun stuff. We're gun guys, right? We're kind of gun guys around here. We've been talking like this earlier. We talked about the whole ghost gun fear campaign. We talk a lot about the terminology and how they create these terms like ghost gun to scare people and assault weapon and weapons of war. Remember, Obama and Hillary were using weapons of war all the time. So the ghost gun fear campaign now is a kind of a propaganda tactic to get people to support serialization. And we here at the Loaded Mic believe that, and most gun owners believe, that building firearms has been an American tradition ever since our founding. So when it comes to, and I want to ask you basically where you are on the Second Amendment, because people are going to want to know locally. I mean, this is a firearm community here up in upstate New York. What are your basic views on the Second Amendment and gun rights in New York State?
I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment because it protects us against tyranny. It protects us against tyranny, which people think is a joke, but we saw in the last 4 years is a real concern. We almost lost free speech a few years ago.
The so-called pandemic was a perfect example. I mean, people were getting businesses are getting shut down. People are coming to your door and shutting down your business. That doesn't happen in America. It's not supposed to anyway.
Countries where there's no gun rights, things go badly, and people lose liberties and freedoms really quickly. And we had a really bad situation in the last years. We almost lost free speech. We had a lot of horrible things happened. But I'm a big fan of the Second Amendment. Because it protects against tyranny. I'm for advancing gun rights as much as possible. Yeah. But I have an interesting background on this topic. I think like one of the most interesting things about me as a candidate is I'm effectively able to persuade and sell people, and I try to persuade and sell everybody, not just, I don't just focus on Republican turnout. I also want to get Democrats thinking more intelligently. I think it's important. We're in a state that has a lot of Democrats.
Wait a minute. Did you just say you want to get Democrats thinking more intelligently?
It has to happen. We have a state. Is
that even possible? Anthony,
that's possible.
I agree. I mean, I think now is the time to be pushing on that, right?
We have a state, and Democrats are, we have an 11-point improvement for President Trump because many of the Democrat voters are starting to think more intelligently because they're seeing the state go to hell under Democrat leadership. So when I say Democrats, I'm not talking about the politicians. Democrat politicians hate people like me and like President Trump, but the voters listen to people like me because I'm a reasonable person. I advocate for reasonable policies and reasonable things that make sense. The reason I like guns is because it makes sense to support guns. But believe it or not, and I like to be honest, and I told somebody else the other day, I talked to another gun guy the other day, I said, I've actually never owned a gun, and I've only used a gun once in my life. I'm not a guy that...
Well, we'll get you out to the range.
It might happen, it can happen, but I think it's good. I love the Second Amendment. I think it's very important for the United States of America, but I think it's interesting, my background. I don't own a gun. I've only used a gun once in my life. We went to a place called Machine Gun, whatever, America and Florida, and I had fun shooting guns, but only happened once in my life. But I understand the amendment. I understand the importance of gun rights, and I understand why other people have them. We want to keep people safe, but more importantly, we need the Second Amendment. It protects us against tyranny. People think that's a joke, but countries go to hell very quickly when you take away guns. And people say, Joe Biden said, what are you going to do? You don't have F-1 fighters. Well, it's still a credible threat that if things go really badly, people have guns and they can defend themselves against a tyrannical government. The government went horrible in the last 4 years. We were taking away free speech rights. Even Roger Stone, who's supporting me, an incredible American patriot, he had his free speech rights taken away. He's still removed from Facebook. He was removed from Twitter. And tens of thousands of Americans lost their free speech rights. Businesses were shut down. My business was forcibly shut down in New York State. I had a complete shutdown of my business with 1,000 people. Unbelievable. I still maintain people, and I was actually offered PPE money, which I never took, but we need gun rights in America. I'm a fan of gun rights, and I'll do anything I can to advance gun rights.
And here in New York, and Anthony and I talk a lot about this because we're gun owners, and here in New York, Kathy Hochul has done some outrageous things with our with gun rights. So, and good news.
Can't carry anywhere.
The case is going back to the Supreme Court. Okay, so and there are two main things here in New York that are going back to the Supreme Court for review. They kicked it back down to the lower courts, but now now it's going back up to the Supreme Court. So what that is, they're going to review the permitting process, which is outrageous. I mean, you got to go through all sorts of hell to
It's a money grab.
Pay money and 18-hour course, and you have to have your family and people living in your home vouch for you. They have to be on your application. There's all sorts of. They wanted to be able to search the last 3 years of your social media. Just all sorts of intrusive, unconstitutional stuff just to get a carry permit in New York State. That's the one thing that's going to be fought against. And the other thing is this unconstitutional, this ridiculous blanket ban on all businesses as gun-free zones. So what we had in New York State was, if you didn't want people to come into your business with a firearm, you'd put a sign that says no guns allowed, and that was your private business policy. Well, what Hochul did was she blanket banned all businesses and said, if you want to accept guns, you have to put a sign up that says we welcome guns. How many people are going to actually do that? Exactly. You know what I mean? So what it turned out to be was an essentially turning New York State into a gun-free zone, because she lost in the Bruin case. She created the Concealed Carry Improvement Act. It was this new package of unconstitutional stuff, and that was one of the things. So 4 judges have called her new constitutional Concealed Carry Improvement Act unconstitutional, and now these 2 new pieces are going back up to the Supreme Court for review.
Why did they kick it back? What happened with that? I didn't.
Well,
this was just last week.
The lower
right?
courts have always been siding with the state.
Right.
So they say it's unconstitutional, but they put a stay on this stuff so you can.
Okay, and that's what happens, right? Yeah.
I want to know how much money she's wasted of taxpayers' money fighting something that she shouldn't be fighting.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
It's got to be hundreds of millions. I mean, it's ridiculous.
And the thing that really pisses me off here in New York is that what they'll do is they'll create all these gun restrictions and gun laws that violate the Constitution and put us in danger because we can't protect ourselves, while simultaneously bail reform, early release, letting bad guys out of jail. The first thing she did when she was appointed was let 191 criminals out of Rikers Island. I mean, how do you make sense of that? Go ahead.
If we want to fix this situation, the best way to do it is to start educating Democrat voters that Democrat politicians are not voting to restrict guns to protect people. Democrats are not concerned with protecting people. I don't think anyone's going to be more effective than me at educating Democrat voters of this fact. I'm not a gun owner, but I can tell it's obvious. Democrat politicians are not interested in protecting people. If they were interested in protecting people, they wouldn't let the northern border stay wide open so we can let drugs and crime and terrorism enter this country. How many people are dying because of fentanyl, right?
Yeah,
How many
exactly.
people are dying because of gun violence, and then the Democrats want to defund the police. Democrats aren't concerned with protecting people. They want to take away gun rights because they want to increase government power. Government, the Democrat Party views the government as something that they control, as something that they own. They think it's their organization. They control it. And if you look at all their policies, they're oriented towards increasing government power because they think the government is theirs. They think it's their property, that it's not the property of the people. They're looking to increase government power. They're not looking to protect people. I don't think anyone will be better at educating the Democrat voters. If we want to fix this situation, we have to get Democrat voters thinking intelligently, too, so they join our side, because then the Democrat politicians can't advocate for these things anymore. So I think it starts the Republican side. We already understand this. The independents, we got to educate the independents, and we have to educate the Democrat voters. At the end of the day, I have a lot of Democrats that work for me. I think all people want to live in a state and in a country where life is good. And if you say to them, look, I understand your concerns with guns, but the Democrats are not concerned with protecting you. Gun rights do not make you do not make your life do not create a more dangerous situation for the citizens of this country. We're not looking to create a more dangerous situation. We're looking to protect people. Democrats are not looking to protect you. It's obvious. If they wanted to protect you, they wouldn't have open borders. They wouldn't have people freezing to death on the northern border when they cross here. Democrats aren't even looking to protect the immigrants that come here illegally.
They wouldn't let bad guys out of jail.
They wouldn't let bad guys out of jail. They wouldn't do all the horrible things they do. They wouldn't have open borders. They'd do something to stop the fentanyl deaths. They would have found all those missing children that President Trump found really quickly. I just heard.
Yeah, how did they all of a sudden find all these?
It's very obvious.
That's amazing.
The Democrat assault on gun rights is totally oriented towards increasing government power. They think they control the government. They own the government. They never thought President Trump would get in there and take some amount of control over the government, but they think the government's their property. They think it's their organization, it's their team, and they want total control over it, and they want to take away your guns so that they have more power. They're not taking away your guns to protect you. I don't think anyone would be better at educating the voters as to this fact, and that's something we have to do. We can't just talk about to the Republican side and talk about getting turnout. We have to start educating independent voters. Yeah. Guns, we don't want the Second Amendment. We don't want to support the Second Amendment to hurt anyone. We want to support the Second Amendment to protect everybody. We're trying to make the world a happier place and a safer place.
Well, there's one thing that happened during the Biden administration. Biden created a thing called the Office of Gun Control. Now, the good news is the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms is congratulating President Trump for quickly following through on a promise to shut down the White House Office of Gun Violence Prevention. This is an article in Ammo Land by our friend Alan Gottlieb. Alan is the founder. He's the founder. He's the big guy over at Second Amendment Foundation, and he says the gun control bureaucracy has no place in the White House, and it should never have been created. This was basically, I don't want to get into the whole articles. We don't have a lot of time, but basically this was a thing that the Biden White House created so they could funnel money into more anti-gun propaganda, create more phony studies, because the anti-gun crowd has a lot of studies that they refer to, but they're all phony. They're created by like gun violence, the gun violence archives, and all these other groups, these left-wing anti-gun groups. So on the left side, on the anti-gun side, there's a whole world of statistics and data. It's all false. It's all falsely skewed, and things like that. Go ahead.
I mean, the bottom line is we know that legally owned firearms kill almost nobody. The legal gun owners don't shoot people. So all these laws that we pass are all infringing on our rights, and they're not stopping the criminals for all the reasons we mentioned. When you got the government letting people out of jail, and we're over here trying to keep people from not protecting ourselves from getting killed, something is askew, right? We need to talk to these people on a reasonable level and say, what are you looking at? I can't get a straight answer from anybody on why they feel the way they feel about all these issues we're talking about. It's all emotion. That's all it is.
It's like gun-free school zones.
Yeah.
Don't work. But then, the parents are like, well, I don't want my kid with an armed guard like they're in prison. Well, they're not in prison. They're going to school. What are you talking about?
Oh, the Gun Free School Zones Act. Don't get me started.
It's an invitation for a psycho to go because they know there's no resistance here.
So if people don't know, just real briefly, the Gun Free School Zones Act was introduced by Joe Biden in 1990, and ever since then, school killings have just skyrocketed. They've gone up because what happens is they've taken guns out of schools, And they've made the announcement by putting the sign up that says gun-free
school
zone.
zone.
Come on in, because nobody inside is armed. So we think, if first thing would be let's have armed security, and let's arm the teachers who are inclined to carry a gun. The teachers who want to carry a gun. Then the left will tell us, well, you want to arm all the teachers against their will. Not at all. We don't want to do I don't want to do it. But the teachers who are inclined and likely to carry a gun, have their concealed carry permit, whatever, they should be able to carry in school, because what Joe Biden did and the Democrats did with this Gun-Free School Zones Act is actually put the kids in danger.
For sure. I'll tell you a quick story. If you want to take the power away from the Democrat politicians, you got to educate their voters. Once the voters start seeing that we're on the sensible side, the Democrat politicians lose their power. But I'll tell you a quick story. A good friend of mine in New York, we get indoctrinated to think a certain way. So a good friend of mine was from here, and he grew up thinking a certain way. He moved down south, and he called me one day, and he said, where the guns are. And people up here, they hear, these Southern people, they're so tough, they're not nice with their guns. He said, more guns, the more guns there are, the friendlier the people. He went down south, he lives down south, and I said, the more the guns there are, the friendlier the people. He said, people in New York won't believe how friendly Southerners are. I went down and I visited them, I hang out. They're so friendly down there, and they support people from all different backgrounds, doesn't matter where you come from. And I won't say my friend's background because I don't like getting into stuff like that. But he's got a different cultural background. But he said the people are so friendly down here. And now he has a gun, he has a concealed carry permit, and his brother has a gun and he has a concealed carry permit. And he said the people are so friendly down here. He said I wish more New Yorkers would come down here to see how kind the people are with the guns. That guns aren't the problem. And start changing minds. One issue we have in New York, I travel a lot because of work, and I was fortunate to travel a lot. But you don't know what you're missing out on if you don't travel. And far too many people up here that think a certain way or oriented in a certain direction politically, they've never even been to a place where they've never been to a city where guns are popular, to see the city functions fine, everybody's friendly, they don't have to worry about these school situations. These things happen in more Democrat-run cities where people have mental health problems because of the Democrats. The Democrats cause some of these things, which we're seeing, because they push mental health epidemics on the people. Like they push the trans movement on children, and it causes mental health in children, and that's the cause of some of these school shootings we're starting to see already. But when you have a lot of Democrat power, they implement policies to increase government power, and sometimes the casualty is the mental health of the citizens, it's the safety of the citizens. Of
course.
I think the whole genesis of the trans movement came from Democrats once again looking to increase political power, because they said if they can poison the mind of your child, they can maybe flip the family to vote Democrat.
Yeah.
And they said, so we're going to go and we're going to poison the minds of as many children as possible. So I'm going to educate the voters better than anyone. If you look at the root cause of most Democrat policies, the policies that Democrat politicians push, they're generally tied to increasing the power of the party. They're not looking to help people. They want trans kids, they want no guns, and they don't want people traveling to see what it's like in more Republican cities and states where people are friendly and happy and all smiles and enjoying life.
Well, you made a point about where there are more guns, like down south, people are very nice, because Robert Hyland said an armed society is a polite society. I'm not going to want to hurt you if I know you got a gun. I'm not going to want to take advantage of somebody if I know they have a gun.
Or even if you might think they have a gun.
Right, or you don't know.
Aspect,
well, plus
right?
crime
you don't
is
know.
lower in those kind of states too. Because if
right.
you walk into a convenience store and try and rob it, there's probably 5 people inside who are already carrying.
It's harder for criminals.
Right.
But
when
I did want to talk about Trump, the Colombian, the Colombian thing, right? So Trump says they try to take all these people back to Colombia, right? All these illegals, and the Colombian president says no, don't accept the planes, don't let them land. So what's Trump do? He says, well, okay, that's fine. We're going to add a 25% tariff, right, on all goods coming from Colombia, and it'll go up. It'll raise to 50% in a week. He said his administration would issue a travel ban and immediately revoke the visas of Colombian government officials. Think about that for a second. And those of all the country's allies and supporters. He further threatened to issue visa sanctions on party members, family members, and supporters of the Colombian government. So the Colombian government thought they were all tough. Was it 2 hours later they came back and said, okay,
we'll send some planes.
We'll actually send planes to get these guys. It's just unbelievable what this guy is doing, because he's not afraid to do it.
Right.
I posted about that this morning. I don't know if you got that from my Facebook
I didn't
page,
see it,
but
no.
That was my page this morning because everybody asked me about tariffs. What's my stance on tariffs? I said,
Yeah, let's hear it.
President Trump used tariffs as a negotiation tactic. He uses it as a negotiation tactic, and one of the things he negotiates with is secure borders and getting violent criminals out of our country. He's negotiating with Canada on that basis and Colombia on that basis, and we got proof of it today. So I said, I've been doing all these interviews, and people say, what's your stance on tariffs? Because tariffs could hurt the district. And I said, I understand that, but President Trump wants to protect the district. He cares about New York State. This is his home state. He wants to see things go in a positive direction. He uses tariffs to negotiate. We saw that very effectively recently with the Colombian situation.
No tariffs have been implemented yet, right? I
No.
don't think. But it's a
threats.
tool.
He didn't even have to implement them yet, right?
It's a tool.
He
Why would
threatens.
this is what so many the prices of food are going to go through the roof. You're all going to be starving. This and that. I'm like, it's been a week. What are you talking about?
Give it a month.
You guys don't
Give it
laugh.
2 months.
I talked to somebody yesterday, and I said, look, I'm in the political world. Sometimes I make threats. You know, I shouldn't do it, but sometimes you threaten people. And I said, look, and they said, geez, you threatened that person. I said, there's only two options in the political world: ass kissing and threats. That's the only thing. You can't do anything else.
Right.
You know, this is a non-violent sport, right? I did a violent sport called boxing where I could do other things, but politics is a non-violent sport. There's only two things you can do: kiss ass and make threats. And President Trump knows when to be nice and he knows when to be nasty, and he uses the tariffs to be nasty sometimes. But
Absolutely. Well, I want to be nice to one of our sponsors right now, and I want to tell you about the Cali Key. Now, this device, the Cali Key, removes your AR from the definition of an assault weapon. So did you know that when so-called assault weapon ban lists are created, they exclude manually operated bolt-action firearms? So just by dropping the Cali Key into your direct impingement AR in the place of your semi-automatic BCG, you'll have a bolt-action rifle that falls outside the definition of so-called assault weapon. You don't need to do anything else. So give the Cali Key a look, because with it, you could retain all your rifle's features, avoid registration complications, revive your black rifle sales if you're an FFL, regain the ability to do private party transfers, legally transport across hostile jurisdictions, hunt with your AR in areas like Pennsylvania, enhance long-range precision and quiet or suppressed shooting. Now, the Cali Key has state-specific expert attorney opinions on its website and supports grassroots Second Amendment organizations with its sales. Cali Key's mission is to empower customers and claw back our civil liberties. So go to CaliKey.com and use the discount code LOADED. CaliKey.com, discount code LOADED. All right. So, a lot of gun talk today. That's kind of cool. I didn't know Anthony was going to be so.
Mike.
Well, yeah, I know.
Dan.
I did. We're big gun guys around here, so we love to talk. We can talk about guns all day long. But I just wanted to. What else do you want to talk about? What else is important that your voters and your Republican committees and whoever need to know?
Well, I want to get big wins, and I want to get them quickly. That's the way I grew my company quickly. You got to look for the biggest wins and attack the biggest wins quickly. I think the biggest win in the district is internet and cell service. I drive around the district, and we have lack of access to high-speed internet, lack of access to cell service. You need both to conduct a business. You need both for human happiness. You need both for public safety. I think it's something we can fix very quickly, especially given that Elon Musk is working so closely with the president, and he knows this effectively. I want to advocate for that. I have an incredible company because of the internet, and there's a lot of people that can't participate in the internet economy in our district because they don't have access to the internet.
It's terrible.
They can't. And there's farmers can participate in the internet economy now. I'm looking at buying a cow off the internet because, I bought a cow a few years ago with a friend of mine. I went
What are you going to do with it? Oh,
you put it in the deep freeze, and then you just eat the cow little by
after
little.
it's been.
It's funnier to say I'm going to buy a cow than to say I'm going to buy the cow meat. I don't know what you call it, but me and my friend bought a cow a few years ago. He went to a farmer, but I see farmers, they now sell their cows on the internet. But we got to get access to internet to the district. It's an obvious win for the economic growth, which is something we need. The other great thing about high-speed internet, I was talking to somebody the other day in the North Country, and they said to me, people can't do remote jobs from the district because the internet's not fast enough. So even podcasts, in some areas, if you don't have high-speed internet, you can't do your podcast because it takes too long to upload the stream. So high-speed internet's an obvious win. I think the president would be happy to do it. I think he cares about New York State. It's his home state. I think I could explain the issue and advocate for it effectively. I obviously know the border, I think, better than anyone. I was in Mexico when President Trump vacated the White House. I'm the only candidate running. I'm probably the only potential congressman in the entire country that can speak Spanish better than AOC. So I know the border very well. I can discuss that issue in both languages, and I can talk to both sides. A lot of Latinos support President Trump because they're totally opposed to open borders. They know it's bad for everybody, but I understand that issue very well. I want to advocate we got to get the border closed for everyone's well-being. It's not good for anyone. So
It affects us all the way up here in New York.
Exactly.
The southern border affects us all the way up here in New York, not to mention the Canadian border, too. There was some people coming through the Canadian border as well. But I want to get to I want to get your opinion on this because, when President Trump, ever since President Trump came down the escalator, he's had all sorts of threats and all sorts of stuff. I want to ask you if how you would handle that stuff. But first, I want to tell you about this Florida man who's been arrested for making violent threats against President Trump. See, now what's happening now, I think, is because President Trump is in office and everyone's starting to kind of gather toward him and his policies, it's not so anti-Trump anymore. So the people who are coming out and threatening his life, they're actually getting arrested. This guy named Shannon DeParo Atkins allegedly made posts on social media targeting the commander-in-chief. He's 46 years old, was arrested just before 7:30 p.m. Friday during a traffic stop where he was allegedly found with 3 baggies of cocaine in his pocket. Not surprised. Do we have a picture? There he is. Do we have a picture of this guy? There he is.
All right.
There he is. Nice glasses. Authorities arrested Atkins after receiving a January 19th tip pointing to disturbing posts the man had allegedly been sharing in the days before Trump's inauguration. So I want to just get your thought on this whole thing, that the violence against President Trump by left-wingers and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that? And how do you think you would handle that on a local level?
I think I have a unique take on this. I've actually been, on the end of some of those threats, not to the same extent as the president, but when I endorsed them, I was getting 100,000 plus emails a day.
Yeah.
Some of them were death threats. Lots of them were more so
because of the sign.
Yeah, no, because originally my endorsement got the most email reaction. The endorsement was the most viral, but the sign was the most memorable because it stays up forever. So, I got a lot of I got a number of death threats, a lot of other nasty statements. People said they were gonna barrel my head in with bullets when they see me, and I got an email with that regard. They said when I did my speech at the sign lighting rally, people were saying they were going to show up and shoot me while I was giving my speech. They didn't do it, but I have a unique perspective on this. I haven't heard anyone else say it. My perspective is I feel bad for these people's minds. Even that guy you put up on the screen, he probably was a nice guy a few years ago, and Democrat propaganda poisoned his mind.
He got deranged.
I think I want to try and remain empathetic to all people in the United States of America, and I think President Trump's doing a good job of doing the same. We got to remain empathetic to all people. I feel horrible for these people that have been poisoned to think this way. They didn't just wake up and have these crazy ideas.
No. Right.
It was put in their mind by CNN. These people that think this way, they have horrible lives and they're suffering, and my approach is going to be to remain empathetic to them and help educate people as to how bad the Democrat Party in the United States of America and in New York has become. They're totally focused on securing political power, and they think the way to do it isn't to advocate for sensible policy. They think it's to poison minds with propaganda and to censor people and to intimidate people. It's not working anymore, but I'm going to educate all these people. I'm going to remain empathetic towards these people, and hopefully, maybe not that guy, but maybe some of the ones. They flip. Maybe some of them they flip and they say, I actually had a guy, he was calling me the stupidest person in Amsterdam, all this stuff, and I talked to him nicely, and he put a post on Facebook a few days ago saying he supports me now. So we got to remain hopeful. We can flip these people, and if not them, then other people watching flip, and they go, Anthony's got a point. This is not good behavior. He's right. The Democrats are doing nothing other than trying to support their political team.
Well, politics are a dirty sport, and you've got a very optimistic outlook. So I really think that's fantastic, and I think people are going to appreciate that, definitely. Because I don't know if I'd be as compassionate for people trying to kill me.
I wouldn't.
But that is the way out, though. That's the way. You have to be empathetic, and you have to have honest conversations with people and show them that you're concerned about them.
Exactly.
And the other people aren't concerned about them. There is a big
exactly.
difference.
It's very difficult to argue with my position. I'm concerned with helping people, and I think the president's concerned with helping people. So the Democrats are screwed. The country now sees it. President Trump's working, and he's not perfect, but his intentions are to help the country. He wants to help. I think he wants to help the world. He says he's America first, but I really think he cares about all citizens, all people, and I think all of his actions are done with a good heart and a kind heart. I think people can see that by and large, and the Democrats that's a tough thing to argue against. I'm doing the same thing. I don't need the money. I don't need any of it. I just wanted to help. I like helping people. It's sort of fun. I'm having fun doing this. I like fighting. I fought in the ring, and now we get to fight outside of the ring, and this is a fighting sport I can do for the foreseeable future. So it's sort of fun for me. I like helping people. It's fun to help people, and it's obvious the Democrats aren't doing that. So
it's interesting you said that. I like fighting, and the truth is I do a lot of Second Amendment work, national Second Amendment stuff, and I guess I do it because I like the fight. I mean, I understand the importance of fighting for what's right, but I don't mind the fight. when it's something you believe in.
Not everybody does, though. It's weird.
Yeah.
I've been in politics for a short while. It's amazing how many politicians don't like to fight. They
Yeah.
really, too many of them just want the job. They don't want to fight. And I
Right.
talk to people, even people on the far right side, when I first got involved, trying to help steer things in the right direction. Some of my very MAGA friends, they were like, stand down, Anthony. You're going to ruin your life. You're going to destroy. They were like, stand down. And I said, who do you think's going to fix the country if people like me don't stand up? I go, you guys, we all sit around, because I said to some of my MAGA friends, I said, we call each other and we complain about things going in a terrible direction. I'm trying to fix it, and you're telling me to stand down.
Right, exactly.
And I'm like, who's going to fix it?
Doesn't make
and
sense.
they said, well, somebody else could do it. Don't ruin your life. There's somebody else out there. Who are they? Where are these
Yeah.
people? You know, Elon's doing the right thing. I really appreciate what he's done, because he didn't need to get in the fight, and he's fought very hard too. But, and there's more people we're starting to see. I think in the event,
Cash Patel, I can't wait to see what he does.
he's going to join the fight. I got to meet him. And,
Oh, yeah.
I got to know him a little bit. He's a great guy. And I texted him congratulations when he got the nomination. He was, he's, we talk a little bit. He's
That's excellent.
Yeah,
Wow.
very cool. Just got to know him a little bit. But anyways, no, he's a great guy. There's more people getting involved. But I think in the event, President Trump sort of inspired me. I think we can create a chain reaction. If I get this seat, I'm going to inspire other people. Other people are out there having similar conversations to me, where their friends are saying, stand down, don't ruin your life for this. And they're going to say, you know what? President Trump sacrificed, Anthony sacrificed, and you know what? They're sort of having fun doing it. So maybe I want to sacrifice and do it too, because in a way it's sacrifice, but honestly it's sort of fun. I think the president's, he sacrificed a lot. He almost died, but I think he's sort of having fun too. And, it's not the easiest thing, but I'm sort of having fun too. So I'm not going to say I'm the best guy in the world. I'm sacrificing a bit, but I'm sort of having fun too.
Yeah.
Well, it's great because you want to inspire bottom-up feelings about this,
Yeah.
right? This is how this party works. The Democrats think everything comes from the top. They think we're taking orders from Trump every morning on how to do all these horrible things.
Right. Did you
And
get
I'm
your
like,
Trump
we just
memo?
found him
Yeah, it
because
came
he
this
agrees
morning.
with what we already care about. That's all. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. We that's the difference, I think, between Democrats and Republicans, is that Republicans, we're very much our own thinkers. It's like
Just leave us alone.
like herding cats or herding squirrels. Everybody's got their own. We got our own ideas, and we don't like to be told what to do. Democrats are willing to be told what to do if it supports the party.
Well, that's why they project, though. They think that we're thinking the same way. Oh, Trump tells you to do this. So I read something this morning about, people that are following Trump because he ordered people to do this. I go, he didn't order you to do anything. I said, you're the one taking orders, I guess. Yeah. I don't know what they want. They want Joe Biden taking care of them?
Well, a perfect example is the virus. The so-called virus and the shots and stuff. I mean, you saw Republicans say, I don't think so. A lot of, none of us took the
Fauci's
damn
pardoned,
thing.
so.
Yeah, I mean, that was pardoned.
Vaccine worked for him.
He wouldn't have been pardoned.
Not in Russia.
But you saw a lot of people fall right in line and do exactly what they're told. Walk 6 feet apart, follow the arrows in the grocery store. That was the most ridiculous thing. I would walk the other way just to defy it. I couldn't do it.
We almost couldn't get dinner one night at the Ripe Tomato because Dan didn't have his mask. We had to sit right by the front door. We went and sit down right away. Pretty funny.
And people say to me, Anthony, I want to support you, but I get yelled at. I go, you get yelled at? Who cares?
Exactly.
Get yelled at by who? What are they going to do to you? I mean, you're grown adults. You're getting yelled at. Who cares?
So ridiculous. Such a childish way to look at things. I don't want to get yelled at. What do you?
Because
This is
the
real, though.
Democrat- but-
This is real. They
Well,
say they don't want to get yelled
especially
at.
around here, there's a lot of state workers, especially that teachers and things
Yeah.
that really can't. Especially on social media, they can't put themselves up because every time I go out, every single time I go anywhere, people walk up to me and go, "We're reading all your Facebook posts and your social media posts. We agree with you, but we can't say anything because of their jobs are on the line."
I will say, I shouldn't say show favoritism, but you guys have a great chair here. Joe Serrata, he's a fighter. And
Oh, yeah.
he's
You're
a
good
fun
friend.
guy.
He's a
Very
good
fun
friend,
guy.
Joe.
Some of these people are great. He's a fun guy. He's a very fun guy too. I like talking
Well,
to
he's
him.
a get it done.
You guys
kind
are
of guy,
lucky.
too.
Exactly. He
He's
likes
not
to
afraid
move. He
think,
likes to act. He's a very fun guy.
Yeah, Joe's good.
I can
Show
never
up here today, did he?
I know I'm going to give him a little bit of crap.
I would
for
have
not
liked him
coming
to be
today,
here
but,
today.
How
Right.
dare him? I
But-
could never do politics.
Yeah.
No.
So you're running for District 21, right? Is
Yep.
it 20?
New York
21.
21st Congressional District.
Yeah, and that covers what area? Is that
The North
Saratoga?
Country. Well, we're at Saratoga,
Yep.
Fulton, a lot of northern Oneida, Essex. Yeah, long list.
And you've got a lot of
It's
support.
the biggest district, I believe. Yeah.
Well, when I first started learning about you, and I learned that you were running for Elise's position, I was like, okay, I don't know Anthony. I remember the whole sticker mule, the whole vote for Trump sign. I remember that stuff. But then I started talking to people, and And of course, I read that article, Gateway Pundit article, and you're people like you. And I think you're coming at it with a good approach.
When is this? When is the decision on this?
You know, the decisions between President Trump and Congresswoman Stefanik and Speaker Johnson as to when she vacates the seat, and then the chairs have to make a decision as to who they support. But my team tells me all the time, like, I've always operated inside my organization, which is a pretty big organization, 1,200 people. But my team likes me. I'm a liked person, and for the first time, they're like, it's kind of cool. The rest of the world gets to see your personality. So I've kind of like kept my personality hidden. The cool thing about Sticker Mill, I say, is I got a lot of copycats. We built a great company, and there's a lot of people that copied us. Some people get frustrated about that. I say it's great. It's a great compliment. I think me getting out here speaking and getting into the political world, hopefully I get some political copycats too. I think I will, but I think the way I approach things is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more effective, and hopefully I get some political copycats too.
Honesty is a rare commodity in politics, and you come off as very honest to me.
Because they're all most of them are scared of losing their jobs and it makes sense. It's human nature.
But you don't need the job.
Exactly. And I can understand where they're coming from. Most of them are scared of losing their jobs because many of them have kids. Some of them have grandkids, and they have bills to pay. We think politicians are this special category of people that don't have bills, but these people have bills and families and lives just like the rest of us. So if somebody has a regular job and their job gets threatened, they get nervous, right? And these politicians, they're scared of losing their jobs. So I don't blame them. They're very risk averse because they're scared of losing their jobs. But when you have a person like President Trump, he's like, well, if this doesn't go well for me, I got a beautiful family. I got a ton of money. I got Mar-a-Lago and golf courses.
But this is part of the original design of our government. You were supposed to bring private citizens in to serve in their areas of expertise and then go back to their lives, right? They didn't need to stay there.
Yes, I said we do need to convince people because our district is under the boot of the Democrats. And if we don't make progress at the statewide level, we're going to be forever under the boot of the Democrats. So this idea that we don't need to flip Democrats and we don't need to flip independents to think like us, it's never going to work if you don't do that. Yeah. I want to do it at the state level and at the national level. President Trump's changing a lot of minds. I want to help with the process. The people listening to this, you guys all understand Second Amendment probably better than I do, but I'm going to be better than anyone else running at flipping other people to see the world from our perspective.
And I think in this area, you're going to be held accountable for it too. So people have that safety net as far as I believe you. I believe you will support the Second Amendment, but in this area, we have a lot of gun owners, and they're gonna let you know.
Exactly. But we're not going to be able to secure the rights that these gun owners and their friends deserve if we don't start convincing Democrat voters to think differently and supporting the policies that we support. So we take the power away from the Democrat Party, so we can get things like national constitutional carry and other policies that make sense. We have to change the national conversation. And every time the Democrats say we got to take away guns, I'm going to be there saying the only reason they want to take away guns is to increase their own political power. That's the only reason they want to do that. Not enough people explain it that way, in my opinion. They're just. And
we're going to talk more. You and I will talk a lot more about this topic. I would be happy to talk more about the Second Amendment stuff and how New York deals with it. We're running out of time. I just got the notification we're out of time. So just. Lastly, if you could tell people where to find you, how they're going to help you, what's your call to action?
The quickest thing to do to help me is go on Facebook. I didn't even know anything about Facebook until recently, but now I have the hottest Facebook in New York's 21st Congressional District. I have the most popular Facebook anyone else running. And, it's my way to get my message out to the voters and to the people. So just go to Facebook, type in Anthony Constantino. I'm there with a shirt that says Trump for Peace. Give me a follow, comment on my post. I listen and I read everybody. I listen to the critics. I heard another person running. They only let their friends reply. And I'm like, I listen to everybody, including the haters on the Democrat. I want to hear what everybody's saying. And then somebody said to me, I know, why do you reply to these Democrats? I was like, because I'm practicing my rhetorical skills, You're never going to know how to talk to them unless you don't take a shot at it. So I listen to everybody. I talk to everybody. Find me on Facebook. That's my top platform right now. And give me a follow and talk to me. Shoot me messages. Comment on my posts.
And you got our support, and we appreciate you. And thanks for being on the show today. And thanks for watching Loaded Mic on Rumble, YouTube, and all our social media networks. And you can catch the audio version on just about any podcast platform out there. My name is Dan Wass, and the Second Amendment is not a privilege. It's your right.